What's up, Stallions and Stallionettes? Just got out of the shower, took my monthly bathing session, got a Biore nose strip on. I've owned the Xbox Series S for over a year now.
Power your wet dreams, it says.
Longer than my relationships usually last. And I've had the PlayStation 5 for almost 9 months.
So let's go ahead and peel this bad girl like a banana real quick and see if we can make a split. Oh, you're a big girl and I like that. Call me a bicycle tire because I am pumped right now.
Switch OLED for about a month and a half. The Switch OLED is here to update the 4.5-year-old Nintendo Switch. And it is an upgrade. Is it worth the upgrade if you're an existing Switch owner? Depends on how you use your Switch. I think it's time that I tie my baloney bow tie, pull back the meat curtain, and explain to you guys the full ownership experience 1 year later after owning the Xbox Series S. Some of what I'm going to talk about does apply to the Series X, as they do have the same operating system, basically the same software suite. However, obviously the Series S has a third of the graphical performance at 4 teraflops versus 12.1 on the Series X. This is most likely going to be the last video I make on the Series S when it comes to the capacity of a review. Obviously, if I get any peripherals sent out, like headsets and controllers, I will be reviewing those. But as far as just unlocking my brain and giving you guys my honest thoughts as an owner, I didn't do anything between 6 months and 1 year, and then this is going to basically tie everything up. Let's get it. Now, the purpose of this video is to get anyone watching to understand why the Series S is a good console, why it is a current generation console, a 10th generation home console. It is better than last generation, yes, even the Xbox One X, which has more teraflops of graphical performance, but also to understand the limitations of the Series S. So if you are in the market for a new console, whether you're looking at PS5s, Xbox Series, or Switch OLEDs, or maybe the new Valve Steam Deck coming out, or maybe you're thinking about building yourself a PC this year, you can kind of weigh the pros and cons of the Series S as a $300 budget banger and what it does really well and what it's rather limp or flaccid in. I'm going to have a couple of videos linked in the description below. They are previous videos by myself going through the initial unboxing of the Series S, a 3-month review and a 6-month review, and this is going to be the last video review that I do make about the Series S. Now, I do want to start with the pros. I do know that negative energy gets a lot more attention, a lot more views, a lot more click-through rate, as people generally like to see thumbnails and titles that are, you know, oh, the Xbox Series S is a sack of crap or whatnot. But in all honesty, it really isn't. It does have some shortcomings, graphically, obviously. I'm going to start with the pros because I do think there are more pros than there are cons with this console. Now, the first one would be the sheer budget factor. It does retail for $300 US, so with tax, you're looking at about $330. Not to mention, these are the most readily available consoles right now, hands down. I've seen them on the shelves of Walmart's, Best Buys. I've seen them on Amazon. They're readily available most of the time now. Series X and PlayStation 5, not so much, which is unfortunate because we are over 1 year after the launch of the 10th generation home consoles, which is unbelievable that we are still struggling this hard to get these. I've covered exactly why that is. I'm not going to get into it here, but just a quick blurb. Silicon shortage due to the pandemic and companies underestimating demand of these consoles, considering we hadn't had a new generation console in 7.5 years. So the lower price of the Series S is due to it having smaller storage, no disk drive, and a third of the graphical performance of the Series X. Now, as far as it being digital only, not a big deal considering most Xbox owners are going to get what's called an Xbox Game Pass, either the basic for $10 a month if they're only on console, or Ultimate if they want to unlock PC support, EA Play, which is a whole second library, as well as xCloud, which is Xbox's cloud streaming platform to where you can stream games to your cell phone or tablet and Bluetooth a controller if you'd like to do that. It lacking a disk drive isn't a huge deal considering you most likely at this point in time already have another device that has a Blu-ray player where you can watch movies and whatnot. Granted, you will not be able to play your previous disc-based games from Xbox One, 360, and Xbox Original, which yes, you can slide those into the disc slot in an Xbox Series X, and about 90% of them will just instantaneously boot up and work just fine. The Series S is quieter and smaller than any of the other new gen consoles, so it fits in any entertainment center. It is dead quiet, and it would make a good travel console. So if you're somebody that moves around a lot for work, or maybe you're in a dormitory, you're in the military and you're taking this thing on deployment with you or something, it's a great travel console. I also think this would make a good secondary console because if you have a PC or a Series X and you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can save your progress on those devices and then go to your Series S so that you might have in the bedroom or a kid's room or something, and all of your progress and trophies transfers over to that. That's another perk. It'd make a good secondary console. If you don't want to buy 2 Series X's or a PS5 and a Series X, just get a Series S and a PS5. Also, not to mention, if you have a high-end PC, there are no Xbox exclusives, there are Microsoft exclusives, meaning every game from Microsoft Studios is ported, not even ported, launch day and date with the Windows 10 PCs. So there really isn't a need if you have a $3,000 high-end PC for you to even have a Series X. There really isn't. It actually makes more sense to have a Series S. If you don't have a PC, then it does make more sense to have a Series X. Also, emulation, the Series S is great for that because you can engage what's called developer mode on the Series S and X, and you are able to play a lot of retro emulation from NES, Sega Genesis, Atari, Dreamcast, N64. Also, the Series S has the same read and write speed as the Xbox Series X, as it does have an SSD or solid state drive, not a mechanical hard drive like previous consoles, meaning it launches games practically instantaneously. It boots up lickety split, and you can switch between 3 games on the fly with what is called quick resume. So you can pause one game and then jump into another game, and that's super convenient. We've never had that feature in any previous generation console. The next one would be the fact that the Series S does target 1440p dynamically upscaled 120. So 1440p 120. That's huge considering the One X, which does have more graphical performance, was targeting upscaled 4K 60, and it wasn't consistent, by the way. A lot of times there were a lot of dips in the frame rate. This is a relatively consistent 1440 120 in many titles such as Forza, Gears of War, the Halo Master Chief Collection, etc. So that's amazing that you can get a casual couch console experience at 120 frames per second, and you don't need a high-end flagship TV because it's not 4K 120, it's either 1080p or 1440 120, which even HDMI 2.0 televisions can handle. So that's another perk, is that you can actually save money on a flagship TV, because unlike the PS5 and Series X, which do push 4K 120 in a lot of titles, you're good there. So what are the cons or shortcomings? Well, graphically, it only has 4 teraflops, not 12.1 or the 10.3 that the PlayStation 5 has. Graphically, yes, it is going to look uglier. Now, is it noticeable in practice? Yes, especially in modern AAA titles that have come out recently. For example, the Medium looks great on the Series X, but on the Series S, there was a lot of pop-in, there was a lot of muddy textures, there was a lot of weird reflection and lighting. It does look graphically underpowered, and also it's doing what's called dynamic resolution in the background, so your resolution might fluctuate between as low as 720p in some titles in 2021 all the way up to 1440. It'll never get higher than 1440 in any game. Yes, it does have 4K output and up to 8K output. That's only for streaming things like videos on Netflix or whatever. Netflix or YouTube, you can watch video content in 4K. But as far as gaming, it will automatically taper back to a maximum of 1440 and as low as 720p, and that is constantly dynamically changing in the background to maintain the frame rate that you're targeting, whether that's 60 or 120. So that's a huge shortcoming. Yes, graphically, it is savagely underpowered. Another one would be it doesn't have a disk drive. That can be a problem if you're only planning on getting one console this generation and you need a disk drive for Blu-ray movies and previous generation games. Nice. Watching this footage back as I edit the video, it definitely looks like I have a little drizzle of booger sugar right there. But obviously you guys saw me pull off the Biore nose strip. The only blow around here is my performance in game, because it blows. Next up, the storage is freakishly small. It has 512 gigabytes of space. That comes out to 364 gigabytes of actual usable storage, which is like 3 AAA titles. Now, you can expand the storage. You can either plug in an external hard drive, or there is a Seagate proprietary expandable storage that retails for $220. That's over 2/3 the price of the console. Freakishly expensive, but it will expand the storage by an additional terabyte, which is great. So graphically, it's underpowered. It has a freakishly small amount of storage, and it has no disk drive. Those are the 3 cons right there. Do I think the pros outweigh the cons? Yes, especially in certain usage scenarios where you travel a lot, you already have a Windows 10 PC, or you're somebody that doesn't really care about having the most graphical fidelity. If you're somebody that thought graphics look good on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it doesn't make sense to spend an extra $200 for graphics that you aren't even gonna notice or appreciate. You're not the kind of person that's gonna be like, ooh, that pixel density's looking hot, or look at this texture pack, or damn, that ray trace, and look at the way the light bleeds through the trees. A lot of people don't care about that. They just want to play some fucking video games. Excuse my language. So in my opinion, the Series S is a good console. It is next generation for 2 reasons. One, it targets 120 frames per second, and it has an SSD. So launching and switching between games, and also loading in game, you know, when you load a new level or you're in a new area, it just loads quickly. These are my thoughts after owning the Xbox Series S for over a year. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you lickety split. If you enjoyed this video, liking it will help it to get seen by more gamers. This information will reach and assist them as well and help them make a decision if the Series S is right for their needs or not. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, and honest gaming peripheral reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, mics, chairs, etc. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.